The Two Mermaids. I was alone at the beach during the daytime. But this beach wasn't well known in a town of 10,000 people called Rockport, Texas. This happened during 2022. I was just wading in the water, sitting down at the shore. No one knew about this hidden little spot because it wasn't the main beach in town that everyone went to. Really, only the locals knew, and not even some locals knew. I mean, like you had to live right by it to know about it. Found it on a walk one day, and every time I went there, was never anyone there. At the most, I would see one or two other people. Usually the same folks with their cars and dogs. It was always me and two other people there. But it was rare when I ran into anyone there because again, it was tiny little shore made of shells and was not like actual sand. It hurt to walk on the shells because they would stab your feet. But anyways, I liked the solitude of the place and would walk there often. It was like 4 blocks from my place roughly. So this one day, I was wading right just had my lower half in the water and my arms were patching me up. And I was just like kicking my feet. And I felt the urge to go far into the ocean and felt something calling me to go deeper. But my gut told me it was evil and dangerous and threatening. Then I saw 2 heads pop up, not too far from the shore, but far enough. And that's where I was feeling called to swim to. And I so badly wanted to. But I knew they were gonna take me to their people and draw me and kill me and use me for evil doing. And I will never forget those 2 mermaids. I knew they were mermaids because there was no one else there, no cars and no boats nearby. They just showed up out of nowhere. They looked human from the distance. I could make their heads out. And so their brown hair too. I could make the outline of their faces. But I knew they were not human because of how they showed up out of nowhere and then disappeared shortly after into nowhere. I did see them swimming off after I rejected them, and it was interesting because they also looked a little like they were dolphins swimming. At first, I could not tell if they were human or dolphin, but as I looked closer, it's when I realized what they were. And also, logically, I was like, they are not human because they were underwater for so long, and they swam like dolphins. They are real, 100%. The mermaid in the cave. This is something that's been bothering me for years. I am 20. And when I was 13, me, my dad, and my younger brother went to Thailand. We traveled to Phi Islands by boat with one of those travel companies for tourists and stopped by different islands to snorkel. On one of these stops, me and my brother were right next to each other, looking at a fish that I found really cute. To paint the picture a bit better, at this moment, me and my brother were snorkeling in the water right by a floating island, while the others in our group were a bit farther away from this island. This island was like a chunk of land that extended downward into the water rather than having a gradual slope. Suddenly, our dad called out for us. Someone in our group saw a small shark and everyone was gathering around to see it. My brother swam over there, but for some reason I stayed put and kept watching the different fish that were swimming so closely to me. Then something caught my attention. There seemed to be smaller caves underwater by the shore, and I saw something slowly coming out of there. It was similar to a human head, facing down towards the bottom of the ocean. I completely froze up and kept staring. The person kind of floated out of the cave, never faced up towards the surface, and did it really slowly. Nothing of this person that I could see was moving. By this point, I could see the back of the head and most of the back. The person had really sparse black hair, slicked down to the scalp. Their skin looked gray, and the spine was extremely pronounced. I was so sure that I was looking at a corpse, and I completely froze up. I couldn't breathe or move. Time felt like it was standing still. The person kept floating out of the cave, and that's when I started seeing its tail. The tail was dark gray and looked like a stereotypical mermaid tail. I blinked multiple times, convinced I was hallucinating, but I kept seeing it. I've never believed in the supernatural, but this thing was only a few meters below me, and I could see it so clearly. I felt a sense of danger. I knew that I was not supposed to be seeing this, and I was terrified that it would see me and attack me. But the thing never once faced up. Once it was out, it swayed to the side and kept a close distance to the island, and disappeared into another cave. After a few seconds, I snapped out of it and quickly swam to my dad and brother. I burst into tears and frantically told them that we had to get back on the boat right away. My dad asked me what happened, and I told him what I saw. Obviously, he did not believe me and got furious at me for lying. When we got back to the boat, I told them again and stood by the fact that I wasn't lying. My father told me that he really hoped I was, that it was either a lie or that I was insane and had to be locked up in a mental hospital. I knew how crazy all of this sounded, and honestly, I did not even believe myself. I decided to tell him that I made it all up. Since that day, I've tried to convince myself that I made it all up. But I've never experienced any hallucinations, and I know what I saw. I've told others, but of course, most of them thought I made it up. It is so insanely frustrating, feeling like you are being gaslit by the entire world. And I truly hope that someone out there believes me.